Well, good morning, everyone. There we go. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 25th day of July, 2019. Well, yes, I did get up at 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday to watch the Mueller testimony. And yes, I did a three-card reading. I think I started at about 10 after 5. And I got that up and posted before the hearing started. And so that was cool. Basically, we began with the Three of Swords. Let me see what I have here. We began with the Three of Swords, so betrayal. Then we moved to the Five of Wands, which looks like playful struggle typically, but I don't think so in this case. The struggle between the Republicans and the Democrats and the gentleman sitting at the table, one of whom was not even permitted to speak, even though he was allowed to be there and allowed to take questions. So that was really crappy for the Republicans to treat him like he's nothing when he's the one that basically ran the whole investigation on behalf of Mueller. Mueller just oversaw it. So that was disrespectful, but we expected that, I guess. And then we had the Page of Wands. We ended with that, and that was really about, I think, Mr. Mueller just standing there and saying, "Look, this is what it is." Validating what was in the report and explaining things where he would. It wasn't a whole lot, but the affirmations were helpful, I thought. I just also drew Birkenau. I didn't do a geomancy rune, but I did do an Elder Futhark rune, and I drew Birkenau. And that is, goddess, that's Mother Earth, that's fertility and giving birth to something new. And I think that probably aligned well with the Page of Wands. So I think that for some people, this was not new stuff to hear, but for others, it may have been. So, yes, they obstructed. Yes, they colluded. Yes, they did all the things that we thought they did. There are currently investigations and prosecutions being readied, I guess. Things have been farmed out to other locations. And so Mr. Mueller's team is done, but there are other things still continuing. So some of that stuff he couldn't talk about, and we knew that. But what he could, just affirming things helps, I think. That, yeah, this happened. Yeah, they did it. And the obstruction that has gone on since has been ridiculous, and it's criminal. But because he's the president, some OLC memo from years ago, Nixon's time, says, "Oh no, you can't indict a sitting president." Of course not. Why not? Look, if you can't indict a sitting president, who can you indict? Shouldn't the president, more than anyone else in the country, be above the law? Or be beyond breaking laws, rather? Not above the law. That's what he wants. But should they be above the law to where the law doesn't touch them? Or should they be the one that the law touches? Should we hold the president to an even higher standard than we hold ourselves, maybe? But it seems like the OLC memo suggests that we shouldn't even do that we shouldn't even hold them to the same level of accountability that average citizens are held to. Instead, what he can do is fleece the government and fleece the taxpayers. That's what he's doing. He's living the high life on our dime. So is his family. So it was interesting. By the time I watched the opening, I stay up and I watch Stephen Colbert, but I don't watch the whole thing. I watch his opening monologue and then I go to bed. I don't know how I stayed awake to do that, but I did. It's just sort of a nice end to the day to watch him, and to laugh. And when maybe you haven't laughed all day long, at least you can have some silly moments there at the end of the day. So that's what I do. But I think I'm going to go back to my taking, random cards instead of laying out 3 at a time like I did yesterday. That was interesting, but it's just not what I do, so it felt weird. It's not what I do here for this purpose. Any other readings I do, though, I'll lay out however many cards I want. Usually I do 6 cards at a time. I have like 3 levels of them. So, and I have my own idea of what all that is, So that's generally how I do. When I do my own readings, I'll do 6 cards typically. I'll do the first 3, and then I'll put 2 down below that, and then 1 down below that. So I have 3, 2, and 1. So we'll go back to our single card, counting 13 and taking the 13th card each time. So we'll continue our randomness here, though. So let's go ahead and get started. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for coming by. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And check out the blog. It's called Stepping Aside over at imsteppingaside.com. Still a little tired from yesterday. If you're coming back, thank you so much. I appreciate everyone as we explore tarot and rune together to see how the runes will affect our lives and influence us, and how the tarot cards can guide our how we move throughout our day with a little more clarity, maybe, or if not clarity, maybe it's just consideration to consider this idea or that option or this way or that thought or that belief, or maybe that choice. So however you like to look at it, I'm really not about predictions. I'm more just about influences. So let's go ahead and get started and take our first card. I take the 13th card because I was born on October 13th, and 13, for whatever reason, figures prominently in my life. Well, we start with so I do it just to be random, basically. So I pulled the King of Swords. We're talking the air element and a man in authority. You see the moon above, the 2 crescent moons above. On his throne, you see butterflies on it as well. This is the air element, our intellect, our mental or intellectual presence in the world. It's about communication. It's about justice, fairness, balance, decisions. Basically, whatever comes from thought. You see some clouds in the background. So there's maybe a little deception, maybe a little illusion. You see some birds flying high above. He looks straight at you. His eyes seem just slightly averted, though. Yeah, he's looking toward us, but his eyes are actually averted. If you look very closely, you will see them averted slightly to the left. I'll try to get that closer. You see that? You can see it on his left eye in particular. He's sort of expressionless. But if he's looking to the left, he's basically looking, he's thinking about something that's occurred. And so he's, again, considering something. With kings, you're talking about male energy, you're talking about authority, you're talking about issues of control. In this case, we're talking about how he communicates with others, whether or not, he does so in balance or whether he does it, deceptively. Because within the swords, within the air element, you're talking deception as well as clarity. So you really have to look at, both sides of the issue. You have to look at things in terms of wholeness, I think. It's why I don't do reversals in any kind of divination, because really that's just part of the whole, isn't it? The whole aspect of whatever you're talking about. So in terms of this, clarity and illusion, clarity and deception, you're looking at the whole picture of how at times we can, be deceptive in our dealings with others, and other times we're very, very clear and very honest. But the King of Swords, you're talking about a king that's either going to be honest or not, basically. And I think that this may have to do with the guy in the Oval Office. It may not. This could just simply be about how are we manifesting authority on a verbal way. Are we being fair with others? Are we, dealing with people with integrity. So let's do another card. Well, here we have the Five of Pentacles. So five denotes change. And here we have two people that are quite destitute, quite wounded. One guy's on crutches, walking through the snow, makeshift. Well, she's. I'm not sure if that's a woman or a man, but it might be a man. But the taller person is walking without shoes. The other one looks like bandages on his feet for shoes. He doesn't have a cloak on. The other one is wrapped in looks like one that's tattered. You see a stained glass window above and the Five Pentacles in the center of that. Help is on the other side of that wall, but they can't see it, either because the doors are closed to them or because they're so wrapped up in their own grief and misery that they just can't see that there might be, in fact, if they were to reach out, someone might reach back. But you don't see an open door there. You see a closed window. So it's almost like, all of the wealth, all of the legacy, all of the help, all of the resources that they need are behind that wall. And it's just not available to them. Something has changed in their lives. And maybe what they could depend on in the past, they can no longer depend on. We have a situation right now where 3 million food stamp recipients may lose their food stamps. So it reminds me of that. You have the King of Swords who's in control of all of this and says whatever, believe only me, ignore what you see and believe only me. Well, no, it's a little hard to do when suddenly you can feed your family and suddenly you can't, because of the situation that you're in. So what kind of integrity is this person, this king, this authority figure showing with respect to these people here? Well, come on. Sometimes the cards don't shuffle well. We already have a day of balance with the 7. It's a day of divinity, magic, again, balancing shadow side with spirit. So if we're doing that, then the King of Swords, then we could be thinking about how are we going to do that, having to do with how we manage or manifest control and authority in our lives, or perhaps over others. That's the main thing. Well, we have the Sun. It's card 19 from the Major Arcana. So a soul archetype card. You see sunflowers in the background. You see a nude child on a white horse. Purity, symbol of purity. It's like, I've arrived. I'm here. I don't know if that's a piece of, no, that's a flag. You see it, and you can see because there's the top, there's the pole there. He's holding a flag. He's holding a pennant or a banner or a flag of some kind, announcing his arrival. The sun has arrived. The light has returned, basically. Oh, there went some rocks on the floor. I think that when the Sun card comes out, you're talking the 19th card. So numerologically, that is a 1 energy. So new beginnings. I don't think that the king belongs after the 5, because I think the king is causing the 5 of Pentacles to happen. I think whatever decisions this man has made, I think that he's affecting people. I think we're going to draw another card, or it may be the rune may actually provide us the transition between, because I think that I think we're either going to find the 4th card's going to go before the sun, or maybe it'll go after, but let's do a 4th card. because I feel like there's something that transitions us into a new day, basically. Now, it could have been, what happened yesterday at the hearing with Mr. Mueller's testimony. It could be that. I'm going to turn a light on here. Oh yeah, I lost all of them. They're on the floor somewhere. Well, anyway, I suspect that impeachment will begin. Now, whether or not that will go anywhere is another issue, but I suspect that that's the corner that we've turned and that we're going to proceed now in full clarity with whatever is going on. I think that too much has occurred to ignore the abuses that are going on now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. So I'm going to do that again because I'm not sure which one it was. If it was the one below or the one on top. Because I did it weird. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It was the Queen of Wands if it was. The Knight of Cups. Either one is fine, but the Knight of Cups will take that. Here we have a knight. His visor is up, so he's not in battle. He's offering a chalice. He's offering emotions, his emotional side of self to people. Compassion. Think of in terms of compassion. It's interesting when you think of it in terms of the 5, isn't it? So if we look at this in terms of the Queen of Wands, which is what I first pulled, I'm not gonna use it though. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. But you have a woman, a female influence, who's coming in and saying no more. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find it and I'm going to use that one. I'll leave the other one up too, because that could be the energy of compassion, a female energy coming in. That's the King of Wands. A female energy coming in and saying, no, we're not going to live this way. We're not going to function this way. Well, there was the Queen of Swords. But you're talking about, with wands, you're talking about catalytic energy, an energy that manifests. And so if you have the King of Swords who's manifesting things that are not fair, well, there's the Queen of Pentacles. Now you'll watch, it'll be clear at the very end. What was that? No. Well, I don't know where it is. I must have gone right on by it. I'll keep looking though as I chat. Or I won't. Anyway, we'll just assume that we know what it looks like. Well, that bothers me. It must have been upside down when I was looking at it and I couldn't see it. There's the Queen of Cups. Well, apologies for this. It does not matter. I'm not even going to worry about it. This is what happens when I try to worry about things. Everything sort of comes apart anyway. I think I'll leave the Sun where it is and put the Knight of Cups at the end. Maybe we'll have the Sun be the catalytic aspect of this. But when I first drew the Queen of Wands, that's the first one. You know, if you look at that vis-a-vis the King of Swords, in relationship to the King of Swords, then maybe you have a compassionate presence that's, you know, the feminine side of the equation, the receptive side of the equation, saying, let's consider something else. And had that been the case, I might have stuck that in between the Five of Pentacles and the Sun. But I think at this point I won't, because I can't find it. It's there. I just can't see it because it's dark in here and some of my candles have gone out. But I've drawn Uruz, which is the second rune of the Elder Futhark. And I'm going to put that in the middle between the Five of Pentacles and the Sun. No, I'm not. I'm going to put the Sun first and then Uruz. No, I'm going to do Uruz first, because Uruz is the forming force. I've read this before in someone else's book about rune interpretations, but it's about drizzle. And drizzle is the forming force behind the actual manifestation. So it's the thought process behind it. It's the intention behind it. So before anything manifests, we first have to think it up, right? So Creator or the Great Mother thought, okay, I want to see more. I want to know more. And, she breathed out the universe, and we're resting in the Great Mother's breath. Well, to do that, Uruz has to happen first. It's the thought that decided, let's do this. It's the thought process that will change whatever's happening here, whatever decisions this guy's making. And then the sun returns and light returns. This was a choice to let spirit inform the process and then to extend compassion to others. A knight is about active energy, more energetic than the page or the princess in the court. Doesn't have the same level of authority that the queen and the king have, but at the same time, he's out there on the grail quest. He's out there protecting. And in this case, he's offering compassion, likely to people that are destitute. So whatever the stagnation was, whatever the prevention was from seeing that help was there, Uruz comes in and changes all of that by manifesting a different thought in order, one that would then allow clarity or the sun to return or the light to return. The sun is about success, but it's also about the self. Okay, so, it's all about who we are. And who we are people of compassion and unity and love and kindness. We are not the people that would allow this to happen. Maybe he is, but we're not. All right, so since I didn't do a geomancy rune yesterday, let's do one today. See if we can tie all this together. It's not that a country can allow everyone who wants to come there, come in. Resources have to be managed, all of that. Maybe the answer is to try to help them where they live, to not have the issues that they're having that make them want to leave. But at the same time, okay, we're going to chart a new course here. We have Vaya. All right. Now, Vaya is a series of single dots. I will show them to you without having to draw them out. Single dots in geomancy represent active influences, and the dual dot, the two dots, represent passive influences. And when you see Vaya, there's Vaya. The opposite of it would be populous, which would be a series of two dots, 4 times there. But here you have Vaya. This is active influence, active presence, acting with intention, choosing your own path, choosing your own way. And I feel like it's reinforcing the message behind Uruz. which tells us that we have to manifest something different. Whatever authority and control is doing that results in the, this way, in the Five of Swords, or five of Swords, the Five of Pentacles, whatever he's doing to cause this, if you want to look at it from the standpoint of within, perhaps we're not behaving with integrity to others. Perhaps we have the ability to help someone and we turn our backs to them. Perhaps we've made someone feel, or someone is making us feel, if the king is an authority figure in your life, to where you don't matter. You do matter. There could be a situation where someone is exerting authority over you to make you feel like there's nothing there for you, that there's no options are available to you. I assure you, take another look, because there are. And that's really what Uruz is saying. So whether this is the political situation that's going on, or whether it's, how we manifest authority in our lives and how we judge others and as not worthy, there just seems to be so much of that playing out, of deciding and defining who's worthy and who's not, who's worthy of help and who's worthy of nothing, who's not worth anything. And so the path we take matters, and that's what Vaya is telling us. Understand that the path we choose, are we going to choose inclusion, service to others, compassion, or is this going to just be about us? Everyone else be damned. Because that's what this feels like. It feels like you've got a separation between the king and the five and the sun and the night. Where the sun is returned, the light is returned, the love of the creator is here. We manifest that. It's not separate from us because we are the creator. Just aspects of the creator, the great mother. However you want to say the creator, God, Allah, whatever. Whatever your name is, whatever your concept is for all that is. If all that is all that is, then what are we? We're all that is. We're an expression of it. Yeah. So anyhow, well, it's been an interesting week, hasn't it? It really has. I'm not sure how things don't change somehow, some way going forward. And I think Vaya is telling us to strike out on a new path, one that's in alignment. Because if you also look at Vaya, are you not seeing Isa? The rune Isa, which is a single line, a Norn rune of the static realm, of the present moment. Thoughts can become scattered into areas we don't need them to be, that don't serve anyone well at all. And so that's another part of Vaya. The energy of Vaya is alignment. These bodies are just an illusion. The ego is just an illusion. We are spirit, focused into form for a short time to explore life in these different bodies that we express ourselves into. Supposedly it happens all at once. The notion of past and past lives, no. The reason why we remember some of that stuff is because it's all happening at once. We're everywhere, and we're one. So check out the blog. I'll be putting some stuff up here, likely herbal and moon, but just one thing to Mr. Epstein before we go. I don't know what happened to you last night. I don't know if you did this to yourself or if someone tried to do that to you, but it's coming full circle, isn't it? Your incarceration. How many of your victims were successful in their attempts to end suffering that you caused, allegedly? I don't care, do you? I hear a great big survivor. No, I don't care. We'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you so much for coming by. And again, click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And do check out the blog. There will be some stuff on herbs that come up, so it won't be so controversial. And then there'll be some moon stuff and with that, I basically do it from a witch perspective. So, whatever you're going to do magic wise, you can kind of look there and say, okay, what's element that's, active today? What signs are active? What planets are, what's really going on? What kinds of things do I have to work with when I do magic? So that's really the reason for that one. Not because I'm an astrologer, because I'm not. So anyhow, I just really like astrology. So anyhow, we'll see you on Monday. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another, and blessed be.